All right, guys, our next guest is a show regular. He is one half of one of the best and most elite gyms in the world and coach of fighters such as Holly Holm, Cowboy Cerrone, Alistair Overeem, Jon Jones, and our very own Tyson Pedro. He is, of course, Coach Mike Winkeljohn, and he's kind enough to join us and return here on the program. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing really good, guys. I mean, I had a real disappointing weekend this weekend with Tyson, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Right. Well, let's talk about this past weekend. Before we even talk about Tyson, Ray Borg was meant to go there, capture the belt, and bring another belt home to Jackson Winkeljohn. He's supposed to beat Demetrius Johnson. Everybody wants to know what exactly happened.
You know what? Enough. You know what? Here's the deal, guys. I know it's not you guys, but enough. All I can say is this. All I want to say is this. The doctors told Ray he can't fight. Ray wanted to fight, period.
Are you able to tell us what was your reaction, when you found out the fight was off? Obviously, because you were training him for, the last however many weeks to beat Demetrius.
Oh, of course, disappointment. Ray Borg is ready. He's ready. He was ready. He is ready. He's in fantastic shape, looking great. And I was going to put money on him to win the fight. That's it. I just don't want to talk about it. Hopefully the rematch gets set up and we'll go forward.
And obviously, is there anything you can tell us as far as, was it to do with Ray's weight, or do you think the rematch happens at UFC 216, or are you sort of unable to speak about those things as well?
You know what? Not going to speak about either one of those at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. Well, look, we respect that. Let's talk about Mitch Clark, because obviously something else that was a little bit surprising was Rich Clark retiring after UFC 215. We know things didn't exactly go his way, but did you know that Mitch was going to retire going into that fight?
Yeah, I knew there was a possibility of it. You know what? Mitch is just, he's an incredibly smart young man that's capable of doing so many things. And I know it's been biting him for a long time, wondering why in the heck he's doing this fighting thing, where the guys don't make a lot of money, but it's everybody's dream to do it. And he feels that he's capable of fighting with anybody out there in the world, and he's very capable of it. He is so strong. His body lock is so strong. He can take anybody down. But with that being said, I think he was second-guessing things a little bit before the fight. So you can kind of sense it, but fighters sometimes do that, and they go out and have great performances. So it's one of those things that, you have to let the fighter figure it out for themselves.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it now? Looking back on it as a coach, what do you think about his decision to retire?
Oh, I'm happy for him because at the end of the day, fighters are basically big dorks that are trying to make this dream that is not that important as far as the world goes. I mean, there's people out there that are changing the world for the better. It's not really the fighters. It's more entertainment. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the sport, but with that being said, Mitch, he's got an engineering degree. I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was in, but he's capable of so much more. I mean, that guy, he can be such a leader in so many ways that fighting was just a small step in his journey to greatness.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why people love you as a coach, Wink, because I love the way you put that. There's a lot of stuff out there for fighters to do, and fighting isn't the end-all and be-all. So it's great to see that you have that kind of support for your fighters. Speaking of retirement, we're not sure what's going on with Carlos Condit. It kind of looks like he's back in training, but can you give us any more clarity on whether he'll return and fight again?
No, I cannot give you the clarity on Carlos. You know what? Carlos is he's come by a gym a few times and he's kicked it around, but he's doing some other ventures right now. And Carlos is that same guy. He's that same guy where he doesn't really want to get hit anymore, but he has that fighter attitude with him, and he'll fight with anybody anytime. So it's a tough dilemma when you have a family and you're trying to figure out what's best for your family, versus your dream. And so I think he's in that point right now, where he's not sure if he turns left and goes forward a different place in his life, or if he gets back into fighting. So I think right now he's trying to decide all that.
All right, well, we look forward to figuring out whether he goes left or right. Obviously, as fight fans, we hope that he comes back. We'd understand if he doesn't, though. We mentioned Tyson Pedro at the start of the show. Came out there against Ilir Latifi. Had a lot of success in the fight. Ultimately, didn't go his way. What did you think of the performance from our very own Australian? And what I guess was the biggest lesson from that fight?
Well, experience. We needed experience. There's no doubt about it. He stepped up. I thought he was going to be able to dominate the fight. Honestly, I really did. Tyson didn't let his hands go enough. It's easy for me to say because I wasn't having this big bull trying to take him down and hit him with bombs. So I understand that side of it. He hurt him a couple times in the fight. I think he threw maybe less than 6 punches in the fight, and I think every one of them hit him. With that being said, just kind of overthought it a little bit. We just need a little bit more experience on some things, a little bit of experience on some moves against the cage, a little bit of more experience on defeating those wrestlers. All I know is Latifi took him down. He did not want to let him up and have to stand with him anymore. He was holding on to him as George St. Pierre would, and just make sure he smothers him and not give him any space. And that was real disheartening because it was very hard for Tyson to get back up.
But, I think in the performance, he still got a lot of, I suppose, a lot of fans got their eyeballs on him. And I think the commentary team gave him a lot of props as well. A lot of people still excited about his development, knowing that he's young and, getting that experience up. On the way home, though, he had a little pit stop at the airport where he jumped on the piano and decided to busk a little bit because he didn't get his fight bonus, Coach Wink. So I'm just wondering, did you get to see his performance in the airport? And if you were walking past, do you reckon you'd drop him a note in the hat to sort of donate to that basking money?
No, I did not see him in the airport. In fact, I think I left before him. So and that's the first I've actually heard about that. So no, I didn't. But Tyson's a character. You know why? That's why he's so well liked at the gym. He's always up. He's friendly. He's happy. Before the fights, he's listening to upbeat, good moral type of music, while everybody else is listening to things with nonstop cuss words and everybody has to pump themselves up in their own way. But Tyson's just that guy that I think most parents want their kids to aspire to be. He has great character, and the kid's gonna be a world champ. So this was just one of those things where he's gonna learn from it and get much better.
What's the thoughts on the hat? The hat that he comes out to the ring in, that sort of Gilligan Island looking hat. Are we a fan of it? Do we like it?
I like it. It gives him character. It makes me smile knowing that that's his thing. He's got this personality, and everybody has to have their thing, and that's part of his aura. And marketing himself and his personality is that he's going to be who he is. He doesn't really care if you like it or not. He's just a fun, go happy young man.
And has he tried to get the hat on you at any point during the training camp? Maybe see if it works with your style. I mean, there's the tank tops, which you love, but I don't know. Maybe the hat would work in that kind of sequence.
No, he never tried to put the hat on me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'd want to let him, nor, but I'm sure that he wanted me to have his hat because I might make it look really, really ugly.
The other thing I loved is when he came out to Mariah Carey and Joe Rogan, Cormier, and John Anik just pretty much had no idea what to say. That was probably one of our favorite parts of the pay-per-view. Now, Coach, last time we spoke to you, obviously it was all about Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar, and now, of course, Jon's future is once again unclear. We have to ask, what was your reaction to the news that Jon Jones, did fail his UFC 214 drug test? I imagine it would have been really tough news considering what a great night, it was for Jon and the team.
Oh, man, absolutely terrible news. Shock. There's no way. Jon Jones had been tested multiple times going through the fight camp. He would not do something like that. The problem is the public perception of they think he's got these needles and throwing steroids in his arm when, don't get me wrong, I understand Jon has messed up in the past. He's got caught drinking and driving. He's done some bad things. He's done things that are idiotic, but he's grown up. But as far as taking steroids, what he's been busted for is taking a Viagra Cialis from Mexico that had something in it. That's not steroids, but it came up that way. And if I had to guess, it's going to come out there's going to be something that he took to rehydrate himself after his cut or somewhere in that style at that time that with some kind of, what I want to say, some kind of substance that he thought was just a supplement that someone said, hey, this will make you feel better. It's got electrolytes in it and stuff, but it was tainted. And everybody thinks, yeah, that's just an excuse, but no, really, that's it. That's what it's going to be. And what I've noticed is a lot of these supplement companies, they have a tendency sometimes to throw things in there. And I think if they find out who the supplement company was and which one is tainted, they got a big lawsuit in their hands because it has changed Jon Jones' life. And it's really not his fault.
And it's one of those situations as well, like you said, Jon had a great performance. It was such a great moment, and now this is happening. And if it is a contaminated drink or anything like that, like you mentioned, the damage is pretty substantial. So what was his reaction to the news, and how is Jon doing? Because we imagine it would just be so disappointing, so brutal to deal with.
I saw Jon Jones 2 hours before he found out, and he was up. He's excited. We're talking about the fight, kind of high-fiving, still going through the fight and different things that we talked about might happen in the fight and did happen in the fight, and just enjoying reliving the fight. 2 hours later, all of a sudden I get a phone call, and people say, guess what? And I know he was devastated. I didn't see it when he got the phone call. Of course, he was at a restaurant with one of our other coaches, and but that coach told me he was just devastated. He just stopped in time, and he's just pretty much since then just spent time with his family and been offline. Just kind of staying away from it. But I just let it sink in. He's in disbelief himself. He went from the highest of high to way down in the bottom of the lows, and just it is his fault for not making sure he eats. They take some kind of substance, some kind of supplement, maybe, if that's what it is. But gosh, it's just real disheartening, because I know Jon Jones is not a cheater. Jon Jones can fight. He can game plan better than anybody. His strategy is better than anybody. He throws all these things into his mind that's so even better than his athletic ability by far. It has nothing to do with substance abuse.
Yeah, and you mentioned, Jon was at dinner. His teammate Frank Lester basically called it a straight setup. What do you make of the theory that Jon's food or drinks were spiked deliberately and somebody intentionally contaminated his stuff so that he failed a test? Do you buy into that in any way, or do you think it was just purely an accident?
No, that would be true evil, and I know there are evil people out there, but I don't think those people would have access to them. I think it was just a mistake. I think it was just one of those situations where a supplement that someone says, hey Jon, this will make you feel better, this will help with rehydration, or this will help with your cut, or whatever the case is, and Jon says, okay, if you say so, that type of thing. So I know him and his management have gone through, they're getting everything tested, everything that he has taken, and we'll see what happens.
And something that you mentioned before, something that actually crossed my mind in the past as well, where if it was, say, a tainted supplement, I mean, this would be the second time in a row, and like you mentioned, the damage is done. Even if Jon comes back, the things that he would have to deal with from fans and critics, etc. And you mentioned, there's a potential, he'd have a lawsuit on his hands. Do you think there would be a lawsuit? Do you think Jon or maybe someone from the team would sue that supplement company for that damage?
Oh, I would. I mean, we're talking about it changing a man's life. I mean, how much money could he make? What's his career worth? Is it worth $100 million? I mean, that's going to bankrupt the company. I'll be the first one to say, hey, look, here's the deal. If you guys are in the supplement industry and you have a tendency to put anabolics and these different substances in your products just so that the kids go, yeah, this stuff works, and then the FDA comes along and says, hey, you put that in there, and then they have a tendency to pull it out real fast, and then they say, okay, we won't do it anymore. But they've already sold the product, and they keep selling it, and they open up another product, or they file bankruptcy and do it again. Supplement companies are notorious for it. If you go back and start reading some papers on it, and it's not right. It's just not right when they do those type of things just to sell products.
He's still fairly young and in his prime, but a lot of people discussing if he decide to throw the book at Jon and suspend him for 2 to 4 years. What does that do in your opinion? Do you think Jon comes back, or is there a real chance this time that he actually moves on from MMA and fans may never see him again?
I don't know. If it's a 4-year thing, I think it could be just that kind of devastation, and which like I said, it's not fair. He messed up in that maybe he took something that someone said, hey, this is fine, but he's not doing what. Thinking I'm taking steroids or something, and that's the part that's terrible. He could be devastated. 4 years, who knows? That's a long time to just spiral downhill where bad things can happen. So that one scares me. If it's a year, Jon Jones will come back and dominate the world again. I do believe.
But yeah, wow, wouldn't that be something if it is a tainted supplement, and we don't see Jon Jones, a guy who many people thought was the greatest of all time because of that? It would just be insane. Coach, we really appreciate the time. Just quickly before we let you go, because I feel like we're getting greedy, just want to ask: Holly Holm versus Cris Cyborg, UFC 219. Are there any updates? Has there been an offer yet? Are there any talks with the UFC? Anything you can tell us?
When is 219? I don't even know when that is. When is that?
I want to say December 30th, off the top of my head. It's December. It's
December
the end of year.
No, we have not had an official offer. we have not had an official offer. So we're waiting for an official offer that's good. But there has not been an official offer. So I know this is quite funny. The champion of the world is calling out Holly Holm.
Yeah.
Don't usually the challengers call out the champions. That's a curiosity in itself.
And not only is she calling her out, but she's actually putting up posts online, making it look like the fight's been put together already, and just basically just waiting for the UFC to make it official. Why do you think Cris Cyborg is so set on fighting Holly Holm?
Money. Holly's a big draw. Everybody wants to see Holly. They know she had the ability to beat Ronda. She steps up for the big fights. She's back. And she's the best thing the UFC has in the women's division. Holly has more power, I believe, and more marketability than every woman in the UFC put together. And I think Cris sees that. She thinks she can beat her, and she thinks she'll get big pay-per-view numbers and make some money. And I don't blame her.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously, one of the biggest fights they can make as far as the women divisions. Last time we spoke to you, and you said there are two big factors, obviously, in Holly fighting Cyborg, and that's the money, and if Holly has enough time to add size and prepare for 145. And we're sort of getting closer now to December 30th. Does Holly have enough time to get ready for that potential date? And is there sort of a cutoff point where if the UFC don't make a real offer that you guys are going to have to say, look, there just isn't enough time?
Yeah, they need to make an offer pretty soon. There's no doubt about it. But Holly will take it. They just got to make the right offer. That would be that. I mean, right now we're looking at, do we fight Amanda Nunes for the title? They really want to give that to Raquel Pennington, I think they're saying. Holly doesn't want to sit on the shelf. She wants the world title. She really wanted to get back at Shevchenko, so I know she was hoping Shevchenko would win the title. But this is where we're sitting right now. And Cris Cyborg is out there, and Holly, I think, wants to knock off another legend and just step up and do it again. So, it all comes down to money and what the UFC is willing to cough up to have Holly fight her.
And speaking of Shevchenko, just quickly, what did you think of the fight between Nunes and Shevchenko? Because a lot of different analysts had different takes on who they thought won that one.
It's interesting. I hadn't even gone into the last round. I think Amanda with her takedowns won. She secured it close. I could see it being a draw. I mean, it was that kind of close to it. But the problem is Amanda, was kind of always with the pressure. Shevchenko, I thought, hit her more times. There's no doubt about it. But I think Amanda edged out scoring when it comes to rounds. I mean, I think maybe Shevchenko, if you count the amount of total strikes that hit, she probably hit Amanda more times, but you can't judge fights that way. You have to judge fights round by round, and I thought Amanda edged it out that last round.
I think this fight's been one of the toughest fights to score all year, but I definitely don't disagree with you, Coach. Just before we let you go, obviously you've talked about, how much the UFC are willing to cough up as far as Holly Holm fighting next. From a coach's perspective, what do you prefer, Holly fighting Amanda or the Cris Cyborg fight? Any one of them stand out a little bit better to you?
No, they're both the same. They both have different type of problems that we have to solve. Amanda has a really good range. She throws really hard punches, just like Cris. But they're different on their approach to fights. Cris is real traditional and comes hard. Amanda can throw things that are a little more chaotic and not the normal type of strikes and or techniques you're used to seeing. So they pose different problems that have to be solved. But I'm okay with either one. Holly's okay with either one. Her manager, Linda Fresquez, is going to be talking to the UFC and find out what's best for Holly in the future.
Well, things are exciting right now, Coach. There's no doubt about it. And we appreciate you. Thank you so much for finding time in your busy schedule for jumping on the program. Guys, make sure to visit jacksonwink.com because there's a Jackson Wink MMA adventure that you can become a part of. It's the ultimate MMA fan experience like no other. You get to live in the door rooms with the pro and amateur MMA fighters, attend the amateur MMA programs and cross-train with pro fighters, receive one-on-one sessions from the coach himself, Coach Jackson or Coach Winkeljohn. So much fun stuff, a lot more stuff that you get, T-shirts, personalized training videos, tons of pictures. You become a part of the elite MMA team. You even get a shout out on their social media. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Make sure to jump on the website, sign up. Me and Casper didn't have to do this program week by week. I'm sure we'd be there. making everybody look bad, Coach, and running up those hills. Who am I kidding? We'll be slower than anyone else. We'll be slower than anyone else.
You guys make part of the adventure program. We'll just throw you in the bigger class.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Make Jon Jones feel better by just beating us up every day. We're like Australian punching bags. But guys, make sure to follow Coach on Twitter as well at MMA Coach Wink. Again, Coach, it's such an honor having you on the program. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.